Hello friends. So today in cybersecurity news, we are covering a news from Germany where a German bank named OLB lost 1.5 million euros in debit card fraud. So before we start, I just want to request everyone to go and subscribe to this YouTube channel for continued cybersecurity news and details on these news. So that's the website of the bank, and for this bank, Brazilian criminal gang cloned Mastercard debit cards, and withdrew more than 1.5 million euros from approximately 2,000 customers. As per the bank, they have already refunded all the affected customers. The bank have also blocked all Mastercard debit cards. So the difference is these are not credit cards, these are all debit cards which got impacted. But you may be thinking, how is it possible to clone the EMV cards, which are actually chip and pin cards? So the cards which have a chip and also a pin for security purposes. But actually the EMV cards was advertised initially to stop these kind of attacks. And EMV stands for Europay, MasterCard and Visa. As per the security company Kaspersky, these attacks have been happening for a few years. So these are not new attacks. And let's try to go through this research done by Kaspersky on how the chip and pin cards work. So this chip, which you can see on the screen, is a mini computer which is on all the debit and credit cards these days. And when this chip is inserted into a POS device, point of sale, or into the ATM, there are 4 steps which happen. We'll be talking only about the POS devices, not the ATMs. So let's go through quickly these 4 steps. So the first step is initialization. This is when the POS receives the information like cardholder name, card expiration date, and etc. from the credit card or debit card. The second step is data authentication. That's the step when the POS checks for the cryptographic algorithm, using cryptographic algorithm, if this credit card or debit card is an authentic one or it's a fake one. Third step is cardholder verification, which is using the PIN code or signature. So when you type a PIN, that's how the card holder is verified that you are the one who knows the PIN. Or when you sign the card, that shows that you are the one who should be carrying that card. So it's verification. And the fourth and the last step is transaction. When all the first 3 steps are done, then the transaction happens and the person who is carrying the POS gets the money from your credit card or debit card. And to my end, hopefully to your surprise, only the step 1, which is initialization, and step 4 are mandatory. So data authentication and cardholder verification are not mandatory. And that's what the Brazilian hackers used to hack this bank's debit cards. Now let's see how actually the hack happened, or how Brazilians used this technique. So to clone the chip and pin card, hackers need a copy of legitimate EMV cards, which is on the which is with the magnetic strip. So that's the first thing. They need a legitimate card to clone, and that can be obtained using card sniffing devices on the POS devices. So hackers would usually go and try to find a POS device which is isolated, and then put the sniffing devices. So anytime the user inserts the debit or credit card, the information is saved, and then the hackers would take it back. With that information, the hackers will create a cloned basic debit or credit card with the information like username and the card number. And then they will create a Java application for cards to run on. This Java application tells POS that there is no need to perform data authentication, which was step number 2, if you remember. The Java application on card can choose to check or not check if PIN is correct. So hackers can enter any PIN, and the POS will always accept that step 3 also. This graph on the screen shows percentage of respondents who have experienced card fraud in the last 5 years, between 2012 and 16. It's not very recent, but it shows which countries have more credit card or debit card fraud. So Mexico is number 1, then Brazil, then US, then Australia, India, and then Singapore. Now, what the user should do. The first thing to do is always use SMS or email notifications for your credit and debit cards. or use Android Pay, Apple Pay, or PayWave so that you don't have to insert your cards into the POS machines. It's just touching the device. And always limit the amount you allow through a card transaction, be it debit or credit card. Okay, that was today's news on the OLB German bank cyber fraud. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time.